What if I told you that the greatest discovery in human history may have already happened and almost no one noticed? Forget everything you know about signals from space, UFOs, or lights in the sky. What we're about to discuss today doesn't come from anecdotal reports, but from raw, cold data, captured by one of the most advanced scientific instruments on the planet. What astronomers in Canada detected isn't just cosmic noise, it's a pattern, a repetition, and it has characteristics that some of the world's most serious scientists are, albeit quietly and behind closed doors, calling artificial. Stay with me until the end of this video, because we're going to dive deep into the data, examine the hypotheses, and try to determine whether we're facing the first confirmed technosignature in history, or the most complex natural cosmic puzzle ever encountered. Whatever the answer may be, it has the power to change everything we think we know about our place in the universe. We're talking about CHIME J1634+44, a code that sounds like it came from a classified file, but actually points to a fixed and unchanging spot in the sky, located at a distance so vast it's nearly impossible to comprehend, billions of light years away. To put it in perspective, when this signal began its journey toward us, Earth was a young planet. Multicellular life had barely begun, and humanity wasn't even a distant dream in evolution. This ghost messenger traveled through intergalactic vacuum, witnessing the birth and death of galaxies, until it was finally captured. Its origin was a radio pulse, a fast radio burst, or FRB. Think of them as the most violent and energetic events in the universe. In the blink of an eye, they release more energy than our sun produces in decades. Usually, they're like cosmic lightning, a single deafening flash followed by eternal silence. But this one came back, again and again. What makes this signal different from all the thousands cataloged so far? What makes it the center of such intense scientific debate? The answer lies in three fundamental anomalies that defy physics as we know it. And as we'll see, the third is the most shocking and the hardest to explain. To understand what was found, we first need to look at the equipment that detected it, the CHIME radio telescope in Canada. Don't picture a giant movable dish like Arecibo. Picture four massive snowboard halfpipes, each 100 meters long, fixed to the ground. It doesn't chase the stars, it waits for the sky to pass overhead with Earth's rotation. It's a giant, immobile digital eye, constantly watching a vast portion of the sky. And this is where artificial intelligence plays the leading role. CHIME generates such a colossal amount of data, the equivalent of all global mobile internet traffic every few seconds, that no group of humans could possibly analyze it all. Instead, it's advanced AI algorithms that dive into this ocean of information, programmed not to find what we expect, but to hunt anomalies, cosmic needles in a haystack. And in 2018, one of those algorithms raised the alarm. Let's now talk about the anomalies I promised. The first, as we said, is repetition. That alone puts it in a very exclusive club of repeating FRBs. But it's the way it repeats that's intriguing. It's not like a clock. A pulsar, for instance, is a cosmic lighthouse, spinning with Swiss watch precision, emitting pulses at strictly regular intervals. This signal is different. The intervals between repetitions are chaotic, sometimes hours, sometimes days, with no clear pattern. It's like an intermittent code, a message sent without a fixed schedule, which makes the idea of a simple rotating object much harder to defend. The second anomaly lies in its internal structure. The signal isn't a clean pulse. It's highly polarized, which tells us it originated in an environment with an incredibly strong and well-organized magnetic field. But beyond that, it has internal complexity, a variation in intensity within each pulse that resembles modulation. Think of the difference between a car alarm, a pure, simple tone, and a human voice. A voice has inflections, tones, pauses. It carries information. The structure of this signal is more like a voice than an alarm. But the third anomaly is the one keeping astrophysicists up at night. It's what scientists call a downward frequency drift. And pay close attention, because this is where the story gets really strange. Each repeated pulse of the signal appears at a slightly lower frequency than the previous one. Imagine a siren that, each time it sounds, starts off a little deeper. And this drop in frequency is consistent, predictable, within each burst. Natural and cataclysmic explosions are, by definition, chaotic. They release energy in an unpredictable way. They don't usually behave with this kind of order. It's this modulation, this organized downward drift, that opens the door to the forbidden question. And it's at this point that we're forced to confront the most extraordinary hypothesis of all. For decades, science has wrestled with the Fermi paradox. If the universe is so vast, with billions of galaxies, trillions of planets, and 13.8 billion years to cook life, why does it seem so silent? Where is everybody? But what if the answer is, they're not silent? What if they're not shouting, but whispering? And we've finally built an ear sensitive enough to hear it? What if CHIME J1634+44 isn't a natural phenomenon, but a technosignature? An irrefutable piece of evidence for alien technology? Think about the characteristics that SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has been looking for over the past 60 years. A repeating signal, so it can be confirmed and studied. Coming from a fixed point to rule out satellites or Earth-based interference. With a complex modulated structure that suggests information. And one that stands out from the background noise of the universe. CHIME J1634+44 ticks, eerily, every single one of those boxes. Of course, science demands skepticism. The most likely explanation, the one you'll hear from most astronomers, is a magnetar. A magnetar is what remains after a giant star explodes in a supernova. It's a super-dense stellar core, about the size of a city, but with the mass of 1.5 suns, and with the most powerful magnetic field in the known universe. A star quake on its crust could release the colossal energy of an FRB. It's a plausible explanation, natural, elegant, and doesn't require invoking alien life. But there's a problem, a big one. Here's the catch I promised. For a magnetar alone to produce that specific frequency drift and the observed complexity would be nearly impossible. To make the natural explanation work, scientists have had to layer on extra complications. They theorize that the magnetar might not be alone. It would need to exist in an extremely specific and bizarre cosmic environment. Maybe orbiting a black hole, whose gravity distorts the signal. Or, more commonly proposed, passing through a super-dense plasma cloud that acts like a lens, distorting the signal in a very particular way. Here's the key point. For the natural explanation to hold up, it requires a combo of rare events. You need a magnetar, which is already rare. It needs to be unusually active. And it must be positioned inside a plasma cloud of just the right density and structure to cause that perfect drift. The natural explanation demands such a series of improbable coincidences that the explanation itself becomes almost as unlikely as the hypothesis of it being artificial. It's like finding a perfectly written message in the sand. Is it physically possible that wind and waves shaped the letters? Yes. But what's the more logical and direct conclusion? And as if all that weren't enough, there's the signal's address, the location in the radio spectrum where it was found. It was detected in the so-called water hole, a quiet band between 1.4 and 1.7 gigahertz, where the universe is naturally silent. This band was identified decades ago by scientists like Carl Sagan as the ideal and most logical radio channel for interstellar communication. The chance of such a clear, powerful, and structured signal appearing precisely in this band is, at the very least, a poetic and deeply suspicious coincidence. It brings to mind other mysteries, like the famous WOW signal of 1977, a powerful burst that also appeared in this band but was never repeated. While the WOW was a solitary whisper, CHIME J1634+44 is a whisper that keeps coming back. And while the James Webb Space Telescope searches for biosignatures, chemical traces of life in the atmospheres of distant planets, CHIME and other radio telescopes are looking for technosignatures. If James Webb is hunting for smoke, CHIME may have found the fire, technology. So here we are. with a signal that traveled billions of years. A signal that repeats in a non-natural way, that is modulated with complexity, that displays a consistent frequency drop, that lies in the magic communication band, and that challenges even our most elaborate natural explanations. The world's most powerful radio telescopes, including future giants like the Square Kilometre Array, are now turning their attention to this point in the sky. The global hunt has only just begun. And now I'd like to ask you a question. After everything you've just heard, the debate is open, and you're part of it. Which side are you on? Do you believe the simplest, though improbable explanation is the right one? That this is just a bizarre magnetar or a natural phenomenon we simply don't understand yet? Or do you lean toward the more direct explanation, that a signal that seems artificial might really be artificial? That we're witnessing the first real evidence of an alien technosignature? Justify your choice in the comments below. We want to read your best theories, your most elaborate arguments. The most fascinating discussion is happening right here. And if your mind is reeling with possibilities like ours, help support this channel by exploring more mysteries with us. Leave a like, it's essential for our work. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this saga, and hit the bell. The race to decipher this enigma is happening right now, in real time, and you won't want to miss it. The universe is sending a message. The question is no longer if we'll decode it, but when and what it will say.